On this video, I would like to do a revision, uh, a first revision of what we have already put out at one time uh, on the person and work of Jesus Christ in each book of the Old Testament, seen in its New Testament fulfillment and Emmaus walk. And so as we begin, I am beginning with the introduction. One of the greatest moments of biblical history occurred on a dusty ancient road that led to a small village about 7 miles outside of Jerusalem called Emmaus. Jesus Christ appeared and walked alongside two of his despondent followers soon after they had seen him perish on a cross. As they walked, he began to boldly interpret the Hebrew scriptures, placing himself directly into the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. That is, the threefold division of the Hebrew scriptures. In these chapters that follow, or I should say in these videos that follow, as I have opportunity, I want to touch on each of the Old Testament books and highlight the moments contained therein which the New Testament applies to Jesus Christ. It is my hope and prayer that I can illuminate Jesus Christ as the center of both the Old and New Testament, the perfect final revelation of God's great work of salvation and redemption. We begin in Genesis, the book of Genesis, starting with Christ as the agent of creation. It was the first moment that we're going to begin before time as we know it today could have been measured. The moment when God spoke the universe into existence. The opening phrases of the great book of Genesis contain important milestones along the biblical path that lead to its culmination in Jesus Christ. Genesis 1:1 reads, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." I believe John refers to these specific words, in the heavens and earth, something that he then develops in the first verses of the gospel, beginning with the phrase, that is the Gospel of John, beginning with the phrase, "In the beginning was the Word." John is making the forceful and radical point that Jesus Christ is eternal, existing from the beginning before the universe came to be. He was face to face with God, and he was fully divine and fully equal with God the Father. We are further told that all things were made through him. All things came into being then by him, and without him came not one thing into being that has come into being. In John 1, verse 3. John is clearly referring back, I believe, to Genesis 1 here. The scriptures tell us that God said, and it reads, God said in the Hebrew, Vayomar Elohim. And here Elohim is speaking of God calling creation into being as the king, as the monarch. Jesus Christ the eternal Word, the second person of the Trinity, is the agent through which God the Father created the world. In Genesis 1, also, it reads, "Let there be light," in verse 3. John tells us that Jesus Christ is that eternal light in the Gospel of John, the light that shines in darkness, and the light that the darkness could not take down or destroy. Actually, that Greek word in John 1:5, katelevan, has a double meaning. It means to comprehend, and it also means to overcome. Jesus Christ, then, is the light referred to in both Genesis and John, and that light continues to shine through his resurrection and ultimate victory over sin and over darkness. In this sense, John sees the light created in Genesis as foreshadowing Christ's direct intervention in history, culminating in his own death and glorious resurrection. Furthermore, John uses the word or logos for Jesus Christ in chapter 1, knowing that it would remind his readers of the Aramaic word memra, meaning word in Aramaic. And it is interesting, in the Targum, one of the Targums, Targum Yerushalmi, that is the Targum Jerusalem, which is an Aramaic translation of the Hebrew scriptures, the word memra, meaning word, is used interchangeably with God. For example, in the Aramaic, it says, "The memra said," and then it would say, "God said," which means God said. I'm using that as an illustration because the memra was substituted for God in the Aramaic translation of the Targum. So Jesus Christ, I believe John is thinking and writing, is the eternal memra, the eternal Word in the second person of the Holy Trinity, sharing equality with God the Father.